want to start. I see the guys are still bringing the stuff in. There's a lot more, Rabbi Elio, there's a lot more? Sharbe or?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, oh, 5 minutes is a long time. We'll start because I can't wait. 5 minutes too long to wait. Too much time. Okay, I want to start with the Pnei Yoshua. Yes, although we learned last week, but I want to start with it because here is a major machloket between Pnei Yoshua and the Chazon Ish, how Orev obligates itself. Okay, it's a big machloket here, and in the end of the day, my goal is to explain the Chazon Ish and see where the Chazon Ish falls into bumps, where he is the chuk. He needs to answer, and he gives his own answers. And with Rabbi Hashem, I will want to use the Chazon Ish position, the Pnei Yoshua's position, but not his answer, as his own answer. I want to use the Pnei Yoshua's position, but to give an answer to the Rishon. So I don't want it today. This is the job of today, and we'll see a whole new way to explain the Sugi of Orev, which is very clear that Rishonim, and it sounds all the Rishonim's language. So the Chazon Ish has a solution, but he falls into two major kashas, and he answers. And he has to retract a little bit and fix it up. We'll see this Hashem today, with help of Hashem, who gives us the strength. And then, after that, we're going to go back to push like the Yeshua's point and explain all the Rishon. Okay? This is what we want to do today. So let's start with the Pnei Yeshua. Pnei Yeshua, it's not a big loss if they don't hear it because everybody heard it last week. So they should know. They should know the Pnei Yeshua. The Pnei Yeshua.
Could Rosh Yeshiva explain why do we need to know how all it works and what the problem is by Kiddushin?
This is what we're going to do with the Pnei Yeshua. Pnei Yeshua will explain. The problem, that's why I'm starting with the Pnei Yeshua. There's the reason. If without the Pnei Yeshua, I say, what's the problem? What's bothering us? Well, everybody's dancing around and explaining and talking. Something is bothering them. Okay? So, and the real truth is, I said last week, anyone who's not bothered with this is not a thinker. He's not a Diaspora Yeshiva student. He's not a beginner of thinking. When you learn a sugi, you have to first stop off. What's going on? And this, if you don't really follow, if you don't understand yourself, if you didn't ask the question, the Pnei Yeshua's kasha yourself, you should check yourself if you're a Diaspora Yeshiva student. If you know the question, the solution is already, it's a blessing from Hashem to find the answer. So it's a lot of big rabbis sweat it out to figure out the answer. But the question, it's a simple move of beginning understanding what's going on. Okay? So let's see the Pnei Yeshua. The Yeshua's kasha is as follows. Kashili. I'm reading the third line of the Pnei Yeshua on the right side. Nehide alfinon mi orev. True, we learn from Orev, the Bechaygav Mishtabed, in such a case he obligates himself. The nicest Orev, and a woman becomes an Orev, a guarantor. Akati still, Milve Hu, it's alone. Kevan Bishas Kiddushin, since in the time of the marriage, Ein no Bein, is not a reality, Biyad Aloive. Listen, what is your name, Hebrew name? Nathan, do you have a paper? Here, I'm going to give you, right here. Take from me. Do you read Hebrew?
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Oh, Hashem. You can join in right away. Jump in and dive into the depths of the Torah. Oh, Hashem. Makes me a big simcha. Wow. I hope Hashem should give you a blessing to put all your hearts on Torah. In this yeshiva, we believe that even Baal Tshuvas, people who are not born religious, they can get to the level of the depths of the Torah, like big rabbis born from 3 years old learning Torah. It all depends on your will. It can be like Rabbi Akiva starting 40 years old, but it depends on your heart. If you want to put all your heart, all your energy, you can get there. So listen carefully. Kashili, I have a question. Nehide alfinon, true we learned, me'oref from a guarantor, the Bechaygav Mishtabed, in such a case, he obligates himself. Vehi nicest of, and the woman becomes a guarantor. Akati milvel, who? It's still a loan. And I'll explain what he's asking. Keivan, since Kiddushin, since in the time of the marriage, Eino Be'ein is not in reality, Biyad al-Ploini, in the hands of Ploini. He's learning, when the woman tells the husband, give money away to this guy, I'll marry you, and I'll marry you, when the marriage took effect. When the husband gave the money to Ploni, he came back to her, and he said, listen, I gave the money, and I want to marry you with it. So it's after the fact he gave her the money. So the minute he gave the money to Ploni, she became a guarantor. And now wants to marry her, he wants to exchange the guarantor to the marriage. That's exchanging a loan, exchanging a debt to marriage. You cannot marry with a debt. That's his kasha.
Well, he's holding it to a loan and not a gift.
What?
He's holding it to a loan and not a gift.
No, nothing to do with it.
She's a guarantor.
She's a guarantor.
Guarantor of what?
Guarantor that if she doesn't exchange the guarantee with marriage, she will have to give him back the money that he gave away as a gift. So either way, so if he gave the gift and he comes back to her, I want to marry you with you, you obligate yourself to exchange it for marriage. If not, give me back the money, I gave it away. So that's a loan. That debt that she owes him in exchange for the marriage, if not she owes him the money, it's a loan. It's a debt. It's a guaranteed debt. Okay, I'm a guarantor. It's a debt. I have a debt by you. And I want to exchange the debt to the marriage. You cannot marry with a debt. That's the kasha of Rabbi Yoshua. And he says that Rishonim answer that. This is when you read the Gemara, that's how it works simply. But the Rishonim answer that. V'arashbo, Yehuda, come here. Do you have papers? Yeah. V'menashe, do you have?
I got it.
You got what?
Choice?
The papers with the choice as well. Yes, very good. You know what I want. Good. Kalev, come here close. Come close. Take a paper and sit next to someone who can translate. Not there. No. Sit next to who can translate in Spanish. Yehuda, please help him to translate.
What, is it debt to be married to him? The debt is to be married.
To exchange, if she doesn't exchange the debt with marriage, she needs to give him back the money he gave away.
What do you mean? There's no debt, there's a gift.
You're not listening. Talk about the guarantee. I'm guaranteeing means
The woman or the guarantor?
the woman. The woman's the guarantor. She's guaranteeing says like this. That's a simple way that Yeshua reads the Gemara. Yehuda, here's for your paper. Maybe sit next to Rabbi Yaakov will help you to know what's going on. Again, what's the case of the Gemara? The case is the woman tells her husband, give away as a present to Ploni 100 zuz. A money. Okay? So she's a guarantor.
Of what?
Of what? If she's not going to exchange the guarantee of this money, with Kiddushin, she has to give back the money. That's called a guarantee.
He didn't give the gift? If he didn't give the gift?
If he gave the gift and she retracted from the marriage, she has to give him back the money that he gave a gift. Because he gave the gift on the condition that she will exchange it with marriage. So that's called exchanging that obligation with marriage. The Pnei Yeshua says it's a debt, it's a loan, it's like a loan. You cannot marry with a loan. Same concept of a loan is a debt, an existing loan is a debt. Also here, the guy gave the money, so she right away, the minute he gave the money, she became a guarantor. He comes back to her, says, listen, I found you, Baruch Hashem. You should know, last night I met the Ploni and I gave her the money. And I want to marry you with that. Keep your promise. And exchange what?
How did she become a guarantor?
She says, give the money to this guy, and I'm guaranteeing the money that if I'm not going to marry you, I'm going to give it back that money to you. And if I marry you, you don't, because I'm exchanging with my marriage.
Yeshiva, you said gift, but really this is a loan, right?
No, it's a gift.
When he's giving,
10-1 in the point means give a gift.
now you're
The
giving
woman
her a
tells
gift.
the husband, give a gift to Ploni, and in exchange, I'll marry you.
Oh,
And if I don't marry you, I'll give you back the money that you gave a gift for me. So what happened, since he gave the money, then he comes back to her and says, I did you what you wanted, I want to marry you. So he wants to marry with what? She became a guarantor for this money that if she doesn't get married and exchange it, she has to pay him that money. So that's already, since the money is already gone, the guy, the employee already merited it, he acquired the money when he got it. That's called a debt.
No, but it's on a condition.
What about Masachas? But since it works afterwards, it's first you have to have the debt, the guarantee, and exchange for marriage. So it doesn't matter if Masachas, it means it's one after the other. Since it's one after the other, it's already gone. It's already a loan that exists. So you cannot marry with a loan.
The case is not that the husband came and wanted to give her a reason. And that husband now, she said, you know what, don't give it to me. Give it to him. And instead of giving it to me, put it in my pocket, put it in his
That's
pocket.
not the case.
It's not the case.
It's not the case. She says, give money to Plony. She said that. She said what she said. Okay, guys, let's continue on. It's not really what I want to focus on. The Rashba and all the rest of the Poiskim wrote a way to bypass it. How do all the Poiskim bypass it? And the Yeshua's kashi is that they didn't gain anything. This is what we want to do today. The Yeshua has a kashi, he says that he's trying to give an answer. And the answer doesn't make sense. The Chazon Ish gives an answer, he says, no, they do make sense. The problem is, with Chazon Ish answer, that he himself gets stuck with a few kashi. And he has to change himself a little bit, and we see what he has to change back and forth. And maybe we can go back to the Yeshua's point and give a new answer, as all the Yeshua will be sound. This is what we want to do today.
It's not a standard guarantee, it's a condition.
Right.
So loans don't have conditions.
What?
Loans don't have conditions.
It's not a loan, it's a gift.
I know, but it's a gift.
It's a gift. I'm guaranteeing that you give that gift, you give away this money away from you. And I'm guaranteeing marriage and exchange. If not, I'll give back the money.
If I don't marry you, so.
If I don't marry.
So that's a condition. If I don't marry, I'll do this.
Right. That's a condition of if I don't want to get married. But since I want to get married, so I'm obligating myself right away to make that exchange. The Rashba and all the other Poiskim. Guys, you have the papers. You've been Yom, all of you have papers, right? I'm thanking you that you did the work. It was a big chesed. And not only chesed, you participated with Kovod Torah. I'm honoring the Torah. I could have got the Arabs to do it. Don't think not so. Maybe more money for the yeshiva, paid them by the hour. But still, I just want to tell you a word that I heard from Rabbi Steinemann. Rabbi Steinemann says, there's a story of the gates of Nicanor. In the temple, there were two big gates called the Nicanor gates. They were made out of copper, covered with copper. And the Mishnah talks a lot about it, that when the sunrise came and light shined out of the doors of the copper, which was towards the east doors of the Beis Hamikdash, they knew when to daven, Vasikin, etc. And the Gemara says, why the doors is being called the Nicanor? Because he built those doors in Egypt, Alexandria, and he bought it with a ship, and it was too heavy, and it was a storm, and they told me I had to throw one of the doors to the sea. What can he do? So they threw one of the doors, otherwise everybody would drown. The storm became stronger. So okay, we're going to have to throw the second door. He says, no. If you want to throw the second door, throw me with the door. We're so attached to it. So he stood on the door and he started to throw it out. They saw he's serious. He's going to be on the door. But they don't want to kill a guy. Okay, they're afraid they might die. There's a storm, but they're really going to die and kill this guy, Vadai. So they let go. And when they came to Akko, and not to Jaffa, they saw the second door, pumping out of the water, and somehow it got attached to the boat, and they're able to bring those two doors, giant doors, to the temple entrance, to the Ulam and the Azor. Ulam and the Kodesh. So the Steinemann says, why those doors was under his name? Because really, if Goyim, Gentiles, build something for the Jewish people, it cannot have the Kedusha to sustain, to be part of the Jewish people's heritage. So those doors were built by Arabs, who knows what, by Egyptians in Egypt, not built by Gentiles. So in order that those doors will exchange and have the Kedusha Yisrael on them, Nicanor had to have this Mesiras Nefesh. Because if Hashem already made the miracle, this is a kasha of Rav Steinemann. Hashem already made a miracle that the door came out. Why he brought the storm originally? If he already made the miracle that the doors came out of the sea when he came to Yafo, so why he made the storms all the way? He should have done it. If it's so important for Hashem. The answer is Hashem wanted him to do a mesirus nefesh on the doors in order to remove the tumah of the going building. This is what Rav Steinemann says. So the fact that we had here boys picking themselves and bringing the wood in here, so we have now Kedusha Yisrael. Okay, let's go continue. What do you want to say, Menashe? Good. He talks about it.
He was a Jew.
He talks about it. Very good.
He was a guy.
He explains it. That's a good kasha. He explains it.
He was the son of a guy, but of a guy and a Jewish.
A Jewish. His mother was Jewish.
Okay, that's a good way out.
Right. But it's not the only way, because there he paid for it, and the Jewish people slaved it and brought it here to Yerushalayim, 80,000 this and that. So the Jewish people were the workers. He also had workers, but Jewish people also were workers. And they brought it from there to here. So they participate in the building of it. So we need Jewish hands to participate. Okay. This is what they have to about. It's a serious Okay, let's go back to us. Rav Steinemann. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, but he was a Jew. Okay, there's a side point. It's not out. Now, Musa Shmuz, and then beautiful Musa Shmuz. A story that happened to me today with two birds. I want to say Musa Shmuz to explain this concept. Okay, so let's go back to us. Comes the Pnei Yoshua and he asks the Kasha. What's the Pnei Yoshua's Kasha? He says, I don't understand all the other Rishonim. What the Rishonim are saying? The Rashbo and other Ripoiskim are saying, we're dealing that the husband told the wife, I'm marrying you with this pleasure. I gave 100 Jews to Ploni for your sake. And what wants to do with Orev? The same way Orev obligates himself with pleasure. The same thing is here. So all the Rishonim say no. The marriage here is not an exchange of the obligation of the guarantee. The marriage here is the same cause of the guarantee. What caused a guarantor to guarantee himself is the pleasure. Also here, the woman got pleasure. Comes the Pnei Yoshua says, wait a minute. This really everybody should ask themselves. This to be wonder. I don't need for that to bring the law of a guarantor. The pshita bekula sugya, it's simple in all the sugyot of Kiddushin. The eicha de hanosh of a puto, where the pleasure you can value it, measure it as a value of puto. Mekudesha, she's married. This is question number one. Question number one, it says, okay, you're not saying it's an exchange of the guarantee. You're saying the reason of how a guarantor is guaranteeing himself with pleasure, that reason exists here by the marriage. So he says, if so don't do a guarantor. Is the law of pleasure. Bring an appraisal. Do you have pleasure or not? It's not. And pleasure is a rule of all over the Shah, all over Kiddushin, all Sugyan, that pleasure, if he can measure the pleasure value of puta, people pay a puta for it, so she's married. So what's to do with Orev? It's nothing to do with guarantee. And the Gemara says from the law of Orev, from the law of Midin, well, nothing to do with it. Should be Midin Ano.
You wouldn't know it's Hano unless there was a guarantee involved.
What?
You wouldn't know that Hano is relevant to the thing unless there was a guarantee.
Okay. So wait a second. So I wouldn't know that the fact that somebody listens to me and he gives money for my sake, it's Hano without the law of a guarantor. I will know that. I would an appraiser will know that. Will not know that. It's very hard. Void and more. The Be'orev, second kasha. The Be'orev afilu be'lo ano mishtabed. Listen, guys. An Orev, a guarantor, even without pleasure, he guarantors. This is a very key piece because this is where the Chazon Ish argues. And for us, with the help of Hashem, I want to explain that really the position of the Pnei Yoshua is a real position in the Sugya, and the Pnei Yoshua gets into trouble. The Chazon Ish gets into trouble. So we'll see in a second. Bezrat Hashem. But the Pnei Yoshua has a very simple kasha. Number two, he says, a guarantor guarantees himself without any pleasure. From here we learn the Adam yochel lechayev atzmoi. A man can obligate himself.
But it's not true. He's an asma.
Lechayev atzmoi b'meh she'eino chayev, what is not obligated. Kemoshi shtabedor, like any guarantor obligates himself. Look at Choshen Mishpat Simon Mem Sif Aleph. This is the Rambam. The Rambam says a person can enter Beis Din and says, listen, I owe this guy money. And he knows he doesn't owe, he admits he doesn't owe it. The receiver admits he doesn't owe it. Beis Din knows he doesn't owe it. But the fact he said a statement, I owe you, is a final statement, he obligates himself, like an Ovid. So from there we see, this is the Rambam, like that. We see, we didn't find nobody argues mamash of that. So we see the person can obligate with words. Words alone. So he says, what's going on here? What's going on? If you talk about the reason of the guarantee, why a guarantor obligates himself, is because the reader is pleasure, and it's not true. A guarantee can guarantee with words. The only reason why we need pleasure by a guarantee is a different side problem. Asmachta will say in one line. To remove it asmachta. But the guarantee itself, the fact that you could guarantee, when you guarantee, obligate yourself, that a person can do with words alone. With words alone. I'll explain a little bit more deeper today with the Ksos. To explain this in a second. But this is the Pnei Yeshua's kasha. The Pnei Yeshua says, I don't understand the sugi as a tame or wonder. I don't understand what's going on. If you want to marry with the exchange of the guarantee, you said, I'm exchanging my guarantee that you gave away money with marriage, and if I'm not guaranteeing I'll pay you that money, that's a loan. Elamai, talk about the reason why I can guarantee myself. What's the reason? It's pleasure. Pleasure has nothing to do with guarantee. Pleasure exists everywhere. You should ask for appraisal. There is this pleasure. Elamai, my guarantee is, number two, he says, the reason of my guarantee is not pleasure. A guarantor can guarantee himself with words alone. What do we need pleasure? The Gemara doesn't need pleasure. If you don't need this reason, and a guarantor by Yano, the memory of this pleasure that he believes him, if I say the loan was done, and I go to court that says I'm obligating myself for the next period of the loan in court, and the court believes my guarantee, so the fact the court believed me, that pleasure, I became a guarantor, even after the lending of the money, to extend the loan.
Pleasure of the word.
The pleasure that the court or believe or rely on my words. This is where he brings down the case. There's other cases, but this is one of the cases he brings. So what do we see from this? The Pnei Yeshua says, we see really only when I want to remove an asmachta, then I need pleasure. But when it's not an asmachta, I don't need pleasure. And I want to explain that I brought here, I printed it in the Ksos. I said it last week quickly, but I want to elaborate a little bit on that because it's a very key piece for us to understand the sunnah. Okay? So listen carefully. What is an asmachta? What does asmachta mean? The word asmachta means somech, rely. You rely that your obligation will never come to fruition. That's called asmachta. Any obligation which is conditional, so you can say, I rely that the condition will not be fulfilled. So I never really meant to obligate myself. When there's a way out, when I obligate myself with a condition, so you can say, I rely that the condition will never come to fruition. So therefore, you need another reason to obligate myself. You need a strengthening reason that when I obligate myself, really I meant to obligate myself with a full heart. What is it? The pleasure of believing and all that. The Pnei Yeshua says, when do we need the extra boost of pleasure? It's only a guarantor of asmach, the guarantor of conditional guarantor. The normal guarantor case, the classical case of guarantor is conditional. The guarantor comes to the lender money, and if he doesn't pay you, I'll pay you. I really rely, it's called asmach, I rely on somech, I'm relying that the guy will pay it. And there's an obligation of a trustworthy Jew, and there's a mitzvah on him, ein tzedek, your word should be a word. It's a mitzvah d'oraisa, to keep your word. Because mitzvah, the Rashi says in Ksubes Peibes, it's from the mitzvah of ein tzedek. It's a mitzvah. He has a whole mitzvah. So he has a mitzvah. He has integrity. He has a word. I assume I'll never come to fruition to pay my debt. So I wasn't serious. In order to say that my words are serious, I really meant to obligate myself. There's a gemirus das, a final das of lev sholem to obligate myself. You need a boost of pleasure. But, for example, what happens if there is no two ways about it? My words obligates me myself right now when I speak. So then you don't need pleasure. My words can obligate myself. This is the Yeshua. Yeshua says a guarantor obligates himself with words himself. With words. When do we need a boost of pleasure, of belief and all that? When there's a smachta. I wasn't serious. It was a condition. So when it's a condition, I wasn't serious. So you need a boost of pleasure.
Isn't that Orif Kabbalah?
Orif Kabbalah is more. This is the Kstosa portion. Orif Kabbalah, there is two types of Orif Kabbalah. There's a real Orif Kabbalah, which the Gemara speaks. Nosan v'nosan b'yad. The guarantor goes to the lender, says, give me the money. He takes it in his hands, and he goes and he gives it to the borrower.
I'm the borrower.
So he's the borrower. He really got the money, and he gave it to the other borrower. So he's also a borrower who really borrowed the money in his hands. That's called nasa v'natan b'yad. There is Orif Kabbalah with words. Like most when we go to Gmach, we sign Orif Kabbalah. The Ksoich, look at the Ksoich, what he says. He's not really Orif Kabbalah. Listen what he says. Nasa v'natan b'yad. That's Orif Kabbalah, that he is a real borrower. He's the borrower himself. The guarantor is the borrower himself.
That's why the Gemach goes to the Lova first.
Yeah, but this is like Orif Kabbalah.
What it means,
Listen, Tikshiv. Listen, please. There is Orif Kabbalah, the classical Orif Kabbalah of the Gemara is like Yehuda. Yehuda told Yaakov Avinu, give me Binyamin, and I'll guarantee giving him back. What do you mean? You give me the object, and I'm guaranteed to give it back. You gave it afterwards to Yosef to see him, well, you go order back. So who really received Binyamin? Yosef? Or Yehuda received Binyamin to give it to Yosef and have to give it back to Yaakov? Yehuda got it. He's a Kabbalah. That's not somebody else. He got the money. He's the receiver. Orif Kabbalah, there's no need, you don't need to learn from the Torah. How do we know all the Kabbalah? You don't need a verse for that. You don't need a source for that because you received the money. You received the object, give it back. The guarantor, he's the receiver himself. Okay? This Orif Kabbalah is not what we talk about. We don't need a pasuk for that. The Gemara is not searching Mahaminayin for that. We don't need that. There's other two types of Orif. The normal Orif and Orif Kabbalah with words. When we borrow in Gmachs and we sign Orif Kabbalah is in words. We say, I'm willing to take the responsibility of Orif Kabbalah. The Ksoi says, you take the responsibility, but not fully. He says an afkamina. We'll see in a second. Come to Ksoi said, he says like this. In normal Orif, what happens? He didn't get the money in his hands. He tells the lender, you lend him money, and I'm guaranteeing it. So the most problem is how he guarantees. He never got the money. He's not a borrower. He's guaranteeing with words. And he's taking a risk. Only if the guy doesn't pay, he will pay. But most likely he will never pay it. And he actually thinks he will never pay it. It's called a smachta. So on what he obligates himself. So the Gemara says, no, with pleasure, then the guy relied on him. Comes the Yeshua says, the pleasure was only to remove the push that he really serious when he obligated himself, because was it a smachta? Was it a condition? Conditional obligation. That's what we need to remove the asmachta. You need a pleasure.
Also at the beginning it's asmachta.
What?
Also at the beginning.
Right. Also b'shas matan moises asmachta. We'll see in a second. Also b'shas matan moises asmachta. Because so in order to remove the asmachta, you have pleasure. Comes the K'tzos and Simon Kuf Chavtes, and he says also when the guarantor says I'm a god of Kabbalah in words, it's also a conditional. Because the halacha is if the borrower has b'nei choyrim, nechosim nechoyim, you go to him first. You don't have to go to me. Even though I say you should go to me, means if he doesn't have, you can go to me first. If you have the knowledge. But if he has free and clear money to be grabbed, he cannot come to me. That's our law, because he says also conditional. So that's what also Olive Kabbalah says, I'm an Olive Kabbalah. You didn't really receive the money. You still need the concept of anor to remove because it's conditional. Okay, this is the Ktseis HaChoshen, Kuf Chavtei, which I printed for everybody. I hope the Lamdonim read it. We spoke about it last week. This is really the beginning stone to our sugya, guys. Guys, listen what's going on. I want to ask you, my friends, my beloved Talmidim, or those that are listening, listen. What's going on here? The woman told her husband, give a gift to this guy. Is conditional or not?
Depends.
Yes. If you give up in marriage.
No, not my condition of marriage. I'm saying right now, if you do this action, I'll marry you. She's not to say if you do the action, I'll make a decision, I want to marry you. She says, you do this action, I'll marry you. Not like if she was after. On the spot. Rabbi says.
This is condition.
Right. But her obligation is tangible? Is an asmachta? Or it's cut right there?
It's right there.
It's right there cut.
Right there.
Ooh, that's a Bnei Yeshua kash. Comes the Bnei Yeshua and he says, here, and Olev is obligated with words. Because when do you need the extra boost of anor, pleasure, that he has to receive a pleasure? Because he wasn't serious. He didn't take the obligation serious. Although he said his words, I'm serious, I'm a guarantor. But there was asmachta. He didn't know that his obligation would be in fruition. It's a condition which is not serious. He needs a boost of pleasure. But when it's a cutthroat, boom! You don't need anor with words. That's like Orev, like the Shulchan Aruch Tzimon men. And by us is what? By us is conditional or no conditional?
But the pleasure when she said, when it cuts.
By us, it's cut or not? Cut. So Lichoy, you obligate with words. He says, what's going on? If it's pleasure, I don't have to come on to Orev. And number two, when Orev meets pleasure, when it's conditional asmachta, but it's not asmachta, you obligate to use it with words. So here you obligate with words. So where's the pleasure? You don't need pleasure.
No, the word that she had pleasure in the words. When she
Also,
said,
as well. But the obligations, that doesn't come from that. It exists. Exists, but you don't need it. So that's discussion.
What's a riot? What happened?
What?
The relationship of those two parts of
The Nabecha. But since in a case where it's a clean cut obligation, not conditional, you don't need a pleasure. And here, you don't need a pleasure. So you have pleasure maybe. She says, if I'm married with a pleasure, I don't have to come to it. And all that obligates them without pleasure when it's clean cut. And here's a clean cut. What? Right, so the Gemara is very good.
The Rif was the problem?
The Rif was the problem. That's his kasha. Elamai, you have to say, listen what he says. Elamai, you have to say she exchanges her obligation with words. That's a loan. That's a debt. You cannot marry with a debt. So he answers with the pleasure of getting rid of the loan. Simchas HaNefesh, you're happy, we're going to go along. Anos Miva, that's the marriage. That's what he answered. That's what Yeshua's answer.
Wait, but it can't be swearing the Ritva either.
Wait.
It can't be swearing.
It was shred. If the Ritva says, listen, that's his kasha.
Where's the Kesef Kiddushin then?
That's his problem. He says, if the Kesef Kiddushin is the pleasure that exists there, so it just exists there. By the way, it's standing next to each other. There's nothing to do with it. In our case. So it's pleasure. Pleasure in the Kol HaTorah is pleasure. By the way, it sits next to it. Next to it, there's also an Hoga, but it's a pleasure. Exists pleasure. Pleasure you marry with pleasure. Elamai, you want to say, with the guarantee you don't need pleasure with words. In our case, with a clean cut.
Okay, but you need to get
Elamai, in exchange of the guarantee, that's a loan. Elamai, pleasure. So pleasure A, pleasure B. That's pleasure of the hitvo, or pleasure of getting rid of the debt, which is a pleasure that exists, but that can be even after. It doesn't have to be before or at the same time. So this is the Bnei Yeshua. The Shiur says, I learned the Rosh is exchanging of the debt, means release of the debt that I obligated myself, the guarantor with words, and I'm exchanging it for marriage, and the happiness that I got free of that debt that I created, the second later I broke, created break in the same second as happiness. It's very hard to swallow. To me, it's a very hard to swallow. Because I create, and the second later I released it, it's bevasachas, there's no real pleasure, it's conceptual. And to say that not every release is a pleasure of ano, it's a hard thing. Elama, you say like the Ritva, no, the Rishon is pleasure of listening, that the guarantor has pleasure that the lender, the husband listened and he gave away money for him. So it's pleasure, don't do it all. This is the kasha Rishon. So this is really the kasha outside of the box. You have to give solution. I would love to hear solutions. But this is the beginning move to understand what's going on here. What the Gemara says, Omar Rava, I will listen to you in a second, I just want to summarize. Omar Rava, Temonen Ploikas Velochot, give 100 Zuz to Ploni or marry through a guarantor. With what? Pleasure is another word guarantee. Exchanging guaranteeing is a loan. Pleasure of that, okay, that's an option of Yeshua. Although you shouldn't say pleasure don't do it guaranteeing. Guarantee with words. Because it's cut. This is the kasha of Yeshua. Yes. Once again, I think he wanted this first. Yes.
That cut, you could say that cut is, the pleasure is in the cut. It's not separate. It's a halak of the cut. It's a gufa. There's no cut without the pleasure.
But you don't need it.
Yes, you do, because he wouldn't have cut if there wasn't pleasure. The whole basis of the cut was pleasure. You can say it's more simple. When she said that thing, why is it?
No.
Why not?
So I'll explain to you. Listen carefully. If somebody comes to court and he says in court, I owe this guy money. And he admits he's moide, he doesn't really owe it. The receiver admits that he never owed the money. But he says in front of Beis Din, in front of Eidim, Beis Din, the Gemara says, the Rabbi says he's obligated with words. Because when his words obligates himself, and there's no two ways about it, it's not a conditional, he's obligated. So this is what the Shulchan Aruch says in the express explanation, in Kuf Koftes, also Siman Men, we'll call the Rishonim that way.
And therefore what?
That's what the Yeshua brings as a proof that that guarantor, when he guarantees himself something which is cut, he doesn't need any pleasure. Words alone he obligates himself.
That doesn't mean in this particular case that's true. It could be in general, but not in this case.
No, we're learning a general rule.
But that doesn't
A
apply
general
here.
rule that when your words is cut, you're obligated with a cut chiyuv. There's no tanai in it. There's no condition into it.
It's not a smart.
When it's not an asmachta, an orem mishtabed bedibur geida. With words alone.
It doesn't apply over here. Because it's totally, that cut was totally, when she said it, and that cut that she made, it was totally the pleasure.
Totally with what?
It was totally in her that she wanted the pleasure, and he was going to do what she told him to cut. So it's yes.
As she said, if you do this, I'm obligated. When he does it, that moment you're obligated.
If you do, I'm married to you.
Right, you do the married to you. So there's any condition here?
Why was she?
No condition. If you do it, you do it. You don't do it, you don't do
Why
it.
was she saying that? Why was
It's
she
not a
saying
smart. It's not a smart
I'm
thing.
not smart. The pleasure that she said, I'm only
It's
married.
not needed. Not needed. Listen to what I'm saying. I understand what you're saying. There's no condition here. There's no asmachta here. It's a cut thing. If you do, I'm obligating myself. That's all. Asmachta means if this guy doesn't pay, then I'm obligated. If tomorrow it doesn't rain, if your father doesn't give you 100 Jews, it's a condition. No condition. If you do, I'm obligated. That's all. That's a cut thing. When it's a cut thing, it's Orev Kablam. It's cut, finished. So we obligated with words.
But that's her words was her goofa because she wanted the pleasure that he's going to do it.
I agree. So if she wanted pleasure, she married with pleasure. Don't say
No,
Orev.
but you can't.
Don't say Orev. Orev is just standing next to it. By the way, there's Orev here. It has nothing to do with it. It's not needed, and there's nothing to do with it.
It's not Orev.
Okay.
It's not Orev, but it's not words.
Okay. Yes.
Isn't there the Pnei Shus kasha is a very good kasha. From all the points it hits, but there's a simple question that the pashut that we have to ask in the beginning.
Yes.
It sounds similar to the Pnei Shus kasha, but it's much simpler.
Yes.
A woman can only get married either
Money.
with kesef
Or Shavak Kesef.
or
Right.
shavak kesef.
Right.
Now, over here, when she says give the money to him, she didn't get kesef.
Right.
So where's the kesef kedushin?
That's what he
Shavak
means.
Kesef.
That's what he means. That's his kasha. His kasha, where is it? If it is an exchange, it's a loan. Pleasure of redeeming is pleasure. The ritvo is pleasure, but it's not do that. That's what he's asking because he knows he didn't marry with kesef. That's
Why is it pleasure
It's a given.
Shavak Kesef?
What?
Why is it pleasure Shavak Kesef?
Why?
Yeah, why? It should be her goofa. Pleasure Shavak Kesef.
Good. So
So therefore, it's not out of the box; it's in the box.
I agree.
No,
he's asking. We should ask if it's with the loan, with the guarantee, without kesef. So how you marry with what? He's saying he agreed to you. Just saying that the Shosh represented the question more simple. And I said, no, that's what he means. Okay.
But if you say
Yes, Rabbi.
skiris baso,
Right.
say skiris is a baso, then you can get married. So how is that different? If you say this, if you say skiris is baso, he does the skiris, and then you get married at the end when you're chayav. So
Right.
it's like also it's like two steps. You're chayav, and then I mow for you.
No, because the Gemara says Mitchila Batsoif is
but
alone.
If it's baso, then it works, right?
Right.
If you hold skiris baso, it works.
So this is only 1 second, the same moment you're obligated.
But
So
it's
it's not
also the same thing here. She's obligated with her chiyuv that he gave to her on her tzibui. He gave to Plonia her tzibui, and she agrees to get married with that.
and it happens the same second.
Yeah. Isn't it like skiers? Isn't it the same thing?
But it's two different bodies. Two different bodies. Him giving action there and me in green. So it's always like alone.
To bring an answer to Rabbi's it's why the text they use just husband. Maybe the step over the first step of marriage already. Because if they use husband, the guy who is giving the money is a part of his husband already.
How?
It's why they use husband, because that bothers me what they use husband. They use husband in order to tell us, to teach us, that they went over the first stage of the marriage.
Agreed. But we want to know how. We want to search how. So let's see now the Chazon Ish, how he solves the problem. Okay? Everybody has the Chazon Ish. Let's see the Chazon Ish. Chazon Ish is, we have to put our energy to understand the Chazon Ish well. The help of Hashem. Let's see the Chazon Ish. Come inside, come on inside. Come take a paper. And sit inside. You have the Chazon Ish? Yes, I have two more. Chazon Ish. I want to read the Chazon Ish inside. Okay? The Chazon Ish comes with a new solution. A very simple move. It's just like a small, it sounds almost the same, but it's not. It's a big Kiddush of the Chazon Ish. And because of the move, the Chazon Ish, he puts everybody in one line. He says everybody fits. The Rashbam, the Ritvo, the Rashbo, the Rambam, the Ramban, Rashbo, everybody is in the same line. He came with a new Kiddush, a new understanding how it works. Okay? Not like the Machnefai makes two families. But the Chazon Ish himself has two kashas against himself. And we're going to represent those two kashas. We see how he a little bit retracts. Now he gets into a problem with those two kashas. And I think with the help of Hashem, if we go back to the position of the Pnei Yeshua's kasha against the Rishonim, because he changed it, he answered it. If we hold down to the position of the Yeshua, we can solve the Rishonim a different way. This is what I want to do today. Okay, this is my goal. In a very simple way, I solved it. Maybe with the help of Hashem, many years ago, about 30 years ago, I wrote this shtickle when I was at Bach in Slabotka, and I still hold this true. There's true points to it, so I want to say it today with the help of Hashem. Okay. Let's see the Chazon Ish. Omar Rove. I'm reading the Chazon Ish inside. Ten mone leploini, v'kadesh ani lecho mekudeshes. Rove says, if the woman tells her husband, give her money, 100 zuz to Ploni, I'll be married you, she's married. Choyshe mishpot simen shin peisif aleph bago. Aoime lechavero zrok mone layam v'schavni lecho yeshunim dechayav. Shulchan says, if somebody tells another person, take 100 zuz and throw it into the sea, he becomes a guarantor or not? That's the question. Can he become a guarantor or not?
For what?
The one who told him.
Again, I tell another friend of mine, take 100 zuz and throw it to the sea. What? Reuben tells Shimon, Shimon take you 100 zuz of yours, that belongs to yourself, and throw into the sea. Because I told you, listen to me.
Do me a favor, do this.
Do that, no favor. I'm obligating myself. The what? When you throw it to the sea, I'll pay you back.
Oh, you pay.
I owe the money, I'll pay you back.
The chayr according to the Rashba shouldn't be good. It shouldn't be an olive.
Oh,
Only
so
good
the
to
Shulchan brings two opinions. This is our Sugya Nafches.
By him doing that, what is
On
it?
page 8b, which we learned, there's Machloket Rishonim between the Rashba and the Ramban. They bring a Yerushalmi, and there's an argument, our Gemara holds the Yerushalmi or not. Okay? The Shulchan brings two opinions. One hold works, he's obligated, one hold doesn't have. What is the Machloket? It depends on our Sugya, our subject. Is Alter, I see well? Next one. Alter is there? Good, Baruch Hashem. I can see well, the light is against my eyes. Shem Yishmor. Anyhow, comes the Chazon Ish brings down a machlokes. Mekor plugdoson. The source of the machlokes is the Gemara did on our Gemara. Omar Temor Pnei Shulchan Kodesh Midin Ore BiYerushalmi Perek Beis Kiddushin Aloch Aleph Omar LePloni. He tells the Ploni, Naasa Shliach Shel Isho. Omar, the Ploni Naasa Shliach Shel Isho Lezakosh Lo VeChoyve VeZoiche Miyoda. Because of Ramban, come on. The Vana Gemara Didon Pliga Yerushalmi. The Be'orev En Aloi VeZoiche Avur Orev El Orev Mischayev Ipnei Shoitzi Amomen Al Piv. Ilkach therefore. Imoma Los Hokmon El Hayam VeSchad El Lechol Lefum Gemara Dilon Chayov Sharoitzi Momen Al Piv. The Ramban brings down that the Yerushalmi says a normal guarantor works that when the lender gives money to the borrower, the receiver acquires the money to the guarantor, and the guarantor acquires back the money to the receiver, so as if he got it, as a kabbalah. That's what the Yerushalmi says, and therefore the receiver needs to be an adult, needs to be a Jew. Cannot be a cheresh, cannot be a deaf person. He has das. It cannot be a shoita, crazy person. He has to have the power of shlichus to acquire it for the guarantor and give it back. The guarantor gives it back to him. Key was it. He didn't give it to him, but it's like there was a ping pong yo-yo. The lender gives the money to the borrower, and the borrower acquires it to the guarantor, and the guarantor gives it back to him. It's a ping pong, and as if he got it. Comes the Rambani says, our Gemara argues on this. Our Gemara on page 8b, when we talk about it has to be her rock, not her rock. From there, the Ramban learns that our Gemara didn't make a chiluk if there is a ben das, because the Gemara says her rock works. Rocks are both. Doesn't. Not a rock. It seems to be doesn't work because he was initiated. But if she will be the initiator, even on a rock it works. So from there, the Ramban learns you don't need a receiver to acquire to the guarantor. The guarantor gives it back. It can be even a rock if it was a proper position that she was initiated starting first, right? So therefore, the Ramban learns that our Gemara argues, our Gemara holds that even a guarantor can be a guarantor, even there's no receiver. The guarantor tells his friend, throw the money to the sea. There's no receiver. Throw it to the sea. Put on a rock. Doesn't belong to no one. It's gone. Everybody can steal it. He took money upon my words. He can obligate himself. The Yerushalmi needs a receiver to become a Rev Kabbalah, to be a ping pong, to acquire it to the guarantor and give it back. No! Our Gemara says you don't need that. Even if you throw it to the sea.
Except
yes.
the rock belongs to someone.
If the rock belongs to someone, but the rock doesn't belong to no one.
It's a seed that doesn't belong to nobody.
What?
The seed doesn't belong to nobody. How could they
The seed doesn't belong to anybody.
What is the sea?
The water.
Sea, right?
How could they compare the sea and the rock?
Because the same thing. There's no belong to no one.
The rock has to belong.
No, but if the rock doesn't belong to no one. What happened? It doesn't belong to no one. If she initiates, the Ramban understands from the Gemara on page 8b, that would work. And says the Gemara didn't make any split. The Ramban learns that our Gemara argues on the Yerushalmi that the way the guarantor obligates himself is without the receiver acquired to the guarantor gave it back and forth. As he said, Kabbalon, he received like Yehuda received Binyamin to himself. Without that. Just the fact that the other person got it, the other person took money out of himself, he obligates himself. But the Rashba says no, you need to have a receiver like the Yerushalmi. Our Gemara doesn't argue. We have to hold like the Yerushalmi. It doesn't mean really it's a ping pong that the receiver acquires it really to the guarantor and guarantor acquires it back. It's like acquired. The Torah's mechadish is like when you receive it is chodis rachmon. The Torah's mechadish as if he got it. This is a machlokas the Chazon Ish brings down. Again, let's go over what we got. Summarize. We got a very simple machlokas. How does a guarantor works? Guarantor works, a normal guarantor, that when the receiver receives the gift, the loan, or whatever he got, is as if the guarantor got it too. He acquired it, he acquired back. Wasn't physical, but wasn't a shlichus kind of, or as if the way of shlichus. That's the way it works. That's the Rashba, because he holds our Gemara La'alocha. That's the way it works. And the Ramban says, no, that's the Yerushalmi, that's not the Halacha. The Halacha is, the Bavli, the Babylonian Talmud learns that a guarantor becomes a guarantor. The fact that the lender or the husband took money out of him, the owner of the money took money out of his domain for the sake of the words of the guarantor, with that alone he guarantees the guarantor becomes a guarantee. Now, how it really works, the Chazon Ish, because of that, came with a new position, and he made a revolution. He made a revolution to say that everybody holds the same thing. It's when I said this, I taught it here, I think Rabbi Yomin said, this is so simple to me, I cannot even hear any other way. So let's see the revolution he said in the next piece. V'ledas HaRambam, to the opinion of the Rambam, Gemara Didan Svir, our Gemara holds, the kol shoitzi amomen al piv. David, you following me? You understand what I'm saying until now? David. You understand? Very good. So let's see the next paragraph. Melech, do you have a paper with you? So sit next to someone here, come to you, Oreo. Here, have with me. Here, I have paper for you. Sit together with Melech. Get involved.
How could this ever apply to our case?
I'm happy to hear you. Yes.
No, how could it ever apply to our case? All these things can never benefit a woman. It can never be something that's...
In the final end, you will see it does. You'll see the second. You will see. This is Yeshua. The revolution of the Chazon Ish. Listen what he sounds. Listen carefully. According to the Ramban, our Gemara, Svir Lehi holds. This is for you, David, Levi. The kol shotzia mamon al pi. As long you took the money upon my words, upon the woman's word, the guarantor words. Listen, guys. Ki'ilu, as if Chazo went back, anasa mamon, the pleasure of the money went back la'orev, to the guarantor. Sharei also vetzone, he did behold his will. The moment chaver, the money of his friends. Veyesh be'inyan zeh, there is in this concept, kabola sano, you have in this concept, receiving of pleasure, shaveh kol hamomon, value of the entire money is the punchline. As if he received the value of the entire money, va'ano igiyosem yoisomomon atzmoy, the pleasure came from that money itself, not a side spin-off from the money itself.
So she's saying...
What, the money itself, or the money was given?
Listen carefully. This is the Kiddush of the Chazon Ish. Comes the Chazon Ish, he made a revolution. Says, you don't understand what's going on here. You don't understand what's going on here. I'll give you a revolution. You know what happened here? When the woman tells the husband, or guarantor tells the lender, lend the money, that's the usage that he got. When you give me money and I own it, I can eat it, I can rub it, I can throw it to the sea, I can buy falafel with it, I can do what I want with it, right? Usages.
That's the guarantor or the receiver?
Any money is, when you own money, the value of the money, by owning it, is that you can do what you want with it. You can use usage with it. Objects, the usages. Here, the guarantor tells the lender, lend the money, put your money in risk. That's his will. That's his usage. He says, give the money as a present. That's his usage. He used the money in that way, and I want to use it. Do me a favor. This is the way I want to use it. Give it to that guy. So you don't have to come out to.
It's money. It's the lender's money. It's
I
not
know,
money.
but when a guarantor tells the lender or his friend, give the money away, throw it to the sea, give it as a present, give it as a loan, risk your money. This is the usage of the guarantor. The guarantor is Orev Kablon. He used the money itself. And he got a full value of the full money of the money itself. A moment atzmo of the money itself, full value of the whole value of the money, because that's his usage.
It's only
There's
a
many
potential.
ways.
It's not a reality.
What?
It's only a potential. He made a statement.
Not potential. He did what he wanted. So that's his usage.
No, he made
That's
a
his
statement.
choice.
He made a
His
statement
choice
like that.
was to use the money in that way. I can choose the money in many ways. I told you the story last week. I saw a small video on YouTube. This guy, a prince, Arab prince of Saudi Arabia, he goes to France, to Paris, and he's on the canal, and he takes a Rolex watch, a $5 million, and throw it into the, he smiles, he wants to show the world he's rich. That's his usage. He's decided to use the money in such a way. He's a Michigan, but he's happy with it.
So he did a money. The guarantor doesn't do
What?
it.
Over here, the Orev never got the money in his hand.
But he used the usage. That's his usage. He said, listen, listen, I'm going to tell you. I'm answering. Can you lend me $1,000? Yes. He said, okay. I'm sending my son to pick up the money. I'm sending my friend to pick up the money. So you gave the money. That's what I want to do with the money. Wait a second.
Potential.
Wait a second.
Only a potential.
I tell you know what? I'm not coming to take the money. Throw the money into the toilet. That's my decision. It's really a decision. Not potential. He's doing my will. This is my usage.
That's what he's doing, but if you're the one that got the pleasure, it's only potential if you requested it.
Yes.
Yeah, you didn't do the thing, he did the thing.
The guy wants to
The
give up
lender
the money.
did
You
it.
can't hit two people one shot. So
He's
So-
older. He's older.
The lender did the thing.
It's
The
over,
money's
listen.
not the guarantor.
well, what?
The lender did the money, not the guarantor. So the
Right.
guarantor didn't do the thing. He only made a request.
Requested. He did what he requested,
It's only
and he
potential.
agreed.
He's
He agreed to do what he wanted.
Who didn't agree? What do you mean?
What? He said, no, if he agreed, thank you very much. I agreed to do your usage.
I asked him if Yeshiva.
You do what the guarantor's the one.
He says that's how guarantor works. Guarantor works because the guarantor had the usage.
I asked him if
What
Yeshiva.
usage did he get? He didn't get a usage.
Why not? That's the usage.
Because
He can eat with it. He can request to give it to a poor guy. So I want to make it easy for you. I'll give you an example, okay? Listen to a beautiful example. Can you do me a favor? I have a very elderly father. He's very poor. He cannot pay his rent. They want to throw him out tonight. Do me a chesed. Please give me $1,000. I need to give my father $1,000 to pay his rent.
I asked him if Yeshiva. This is-
1 second.
This is the case.
So he gives the money to my father. That's my usage.
I asked him if Yeshiva.
Yes.
When he wants to marry the woman with the ring, and she says, "Don't give it to me, give it to him." Is that the case?
No.
She said no.
No.
But this is the case that you're saying now.
That's the Chazonish says that even if she didn't even here she spoke before. What she says, give it to that guy, and that's her usage.
So that's what I asked. Is that the case or not?
No, the Pnei Yeshua is talking about that after the guy gave, he come back stir. That's the Pnei Yeshua's point. That's why when you don't do Yeshua wasn't the point. But the Chazonish says no. He learned like all the Rishonim that when he gives it, that's when she's obligated. A normal olive. So he's saying how a normal olive works. It's not shlichus. It's not words. And there's no asmachta with words. No. He got that's his usage. His usage. I want to use the money to risk the money. Throw it to the sea. Give it to this poor guy. Give it to me. Give it to that. You're doing what I'm saying. What I'm saying, but it's my usage. But doing what I'm saying is my usage. Yes.
When I tell you to give tzedakah, we get some mitzvah tzedakah.
Yes. Yes.
When I tell you to give tzedakah, we get some mitzvah tzedakah. We hear you.
You. Yes.
Even though
Because
you
you're guaranteeing it. Yes. Yes.
by just telling you.
That's your usage, yes.
But
That's Chazonish's point. Chazonish comes and says, yes, yes.
It's not Botzer. There's a separation. He made a request and then they get an answer.
Right. That's his usage. That's his usage. His usage, he follows.
He didn't know it's going to happen until it happens.
Right. But when it happens, that's his usage. When the person takes his money out of his domain, that's the usage that this guy did with it. That's a guarantor, becomes a guarantor. That's a guarantor, becomes a guarantor. Yes, sir, but it's what? Oh! Psh. Come Reb Shmuel and he asks, where's the money, where's the pleasure of the honor of the woman? The Chazon Ish said she got a full 100 zuz value of money and the money itself. Usage is money. It's not an outside usage, it's an external usage. This is the usage of Anos Kiloyon. She pleasured by getting rid of it to give to this guy. That's her full pleasure of Shove Kol HaKesef Gufa Momen Atzmo. Is a pleasure of Momen Atzmo, money itself. Shove Kol HaKesef, value of the entire money.
Why? What's the sport? It should only be the pleasure that he listened, not the money itself.
So he's saying that's considered attached to the money itself. Comes the Chazon Ish, he says, yes, Rabbi Sorry.
What is he guaranteeing? He's guaranteeing Salah. He can't guarantee Salah.
I answered him because he wanted to get said who was the pai. I know I wasn't getting to the point of real.
How does that still with the Gemara?
I want to know who's the responsible, who's getting it.
The Gemara says that the Gemara says
Yes.
"Loi kamoti anoni yodo."
Right.
How does that fit?
That's his kasha. He answers right away this kasha. He answers in parentheses. ואינו עניין למה שאומרו בשילוי באובסרה, באור בבייזין, משתת ביענו למהימלא. When the Gemara says that Or Bebezin is obligated with the pleasure he listened to him, the awesome ano shel simchas hanefesh over there is ano of happiness of the soul, of value of put the guy listened to me. But here is different. Avaloche choshit kirushim eshamom, and here is considered to use the money at shekilo is until he destroyed them. The Oref used the money until destroyed them by giving it to somebody else. That's his usage. It's not a happiness of listening to me. That's shobaputo. This is usage of the money itself. So I got the money by using the money itself until it got destroyed by giving it to somebody else. This is my usage.
But it's only indirect. It's not direct.
And more than that, listen, I want a few more lines, very important here. Guys, I want to read 3 more lines. It's a punchline, and with that we see how he argues with Yeshua. The next 2 lines he argues with Yeshua. Listen carefully. Ve'odo ma bo'obasa gufayin beis. And the Gemara says about Basa that an Orev obligates us with the pleasure that is belief. He says not true. Eino elo lemeimer is only to say that avasmachta is not an asmachta. What he said is asmachta. You're not serious because it's a conditional obligation. You don't think come to fruition. So to remove that, you have pleasure. Aval hakinyan, this is what he argues with the Bnei Yoshua. But the kinyan itself, ubamoman atzma with the money itself, with the pleasure.
Where's the kinyan?
Again. Listen carefully. Comes the Bnei Yoshua and he says, when I say lend the money, is basically that's his usage. I want my usage is risk the money, give this guy a loan. That's what I want to use the money in a way.
You didn't use it. You just made a request.
I know, and he did my request. That's my usage. When he will do the request, that's my usage. When he will do my request, this is my usage.
Where's the half for that? What kind of half is that? You tell me. Explain what is the half.
What is talking about half?
We're
not talking about the half. We're talking about exists or doesn't exist.
Why not usage?
We're talking about if it exists or doesn't exist.
No, you're talking is usage.
It exists or doesn't exist.
He said if he uses that's usage, and that's a usage.
It exists or doesn't exist. When he does it, it's considered I've used it. That's my usage.
You didn't use it.
Say I use it by eating it. I use it by saying you lend it to someone. I use it to give it a gift to someone. I said throw it to the sea. That's my usage.
It's not a usage. It's a request.
I know, but when he does my request, then I'm obligated. If he doesn't do my request, I'm not obligated. My obligation comes when he does a request, so that's my usage. Right then, that's my usage. When you fulfill my request, that's my usage, that's my obligation.
What kind of usage is that? That's not a usage.
That he does what I want with it.
That's for the usage?
Yes.
Well,
that's for usage. Now listen carefully more. He says, so when the Gemara says that a guarantor removes himself from a smachta with the pleasure, that's only to remove a smachta, that he's serious. But in what way he makes an acquisition is not with words like the Bnei Yoshua. Is he makes the acquisition with the boman atzmo, the usage of the money itself.
There's no hefra. It's a spora. The spora is not the hefra.
Right, he says exactly. He's saying a slow.
And it's a hard spora.
Okay, hard.
Is it
You
possible
can say a word,
to
but you have to give a solution.
Is it
Yes.
possible to say that when you throw money to the
Because he's not a mice.
Listen to how this 1 second. Yes.
when you throw money to the
Yes.
money could be any amount of usage.
Yes.
But what's kovea, what usage, when the money is probably what you did with it. If you threw it into the then all that money had usage was
Right.
the giving.
Right.
If you gave it to someone else, so then it had two types of uses. You listening to me that you gave it, and also the actual uses of the money of that person.
He knows that. You're not arguing with that. He knows that. Now he brings a proof. Now I'm just going to take the proof, and he himself asks on himself two kashas. Okay, two kashas. One is two kashas. Two kashas he asks. Two questions, and because I think he changed a little bit what he meant to say. We'll see in a second. And Bezrat Hashem, with help of Hashem, I want to give a different solution, like the Yeshua's understanding, but a different solution. Simple. It's not so complicated. The Chazon Ish was saying that since we see, he started with the Ramban, his beginning move was the Ramban. Once the Ramban said that our Gemara holds that a guarantor can be a guarantor even if when you throw the money to the sea, you don't need a receiver. It's not like a kind of an acquisition of a yo-yo back and forth ping pong of honor of Kablon. So how, when a person throws the money to the sea, the guarantor becomes a guarantor? With pleasure of what? Of listening to him? That's pleasure listening means risking the money. But he didn't risk the money, he got rid of the money. It's not risk, it's real pleasure, even more. So that's why he changed the pleasure risking of listening, trusting. It's not a trust, it's getting rid of. It's pleasure of usage. So that caused them to learn. Because of that, he changed all the Rishonim. He said that's what the Rashbam means, Shlichus means, even those that hold that you don't need a receiver like the Ramban, but the lender, he's the messenger, means he's a messenger to do my usage. But it's all usage. That's how guarantee works. And even the Rashbam holds that you need a receiver to acquire it, but it's also usage. It's all usage. Everybody learns this usage. So how a guarantor becomes a guarantor? Because he received usage of the money by the guy agreeing to do what he said. When he does what he says, that moment he used the money in the way he wanted, that he preordained, pre-requested. His request is being done. When his request is being done, that's his usage. It could be crazy usage, crazy request, as an email, but it's done. And that's the obligation. Since it was a request, and he fulfilled the request, that was his usage.
Use is not of a mailer.
I used the words, I jumped on it and I said, let's continue on. I don't know if it's a email. It's not email because he requested it. So he requested and he did it. This is the usage, this is the obligation. But it's not really obligation with words alone. It's not obligation with words alone. This is what the Chazon Ish is saying. He has some bumps with the language of the Ritva. The Ritva says only Ano Shabapruto. So he says that's the beginning Ano, but really the kinyan of an Orev is not with words, with the moment itself. Because usually the moment itself of Gufa moment Atzma. Now that he got Mitzad the papers, yes. Yes, in that sense. If he meant that, that's what it is. Now, the Chazon Ish has two kashas. Okay, I want to refer to the two kashas he asks and how he solves it. He has two kashas. And when we answer those two kashas, we'll see how he answers, and then maybe we'll represent another way, like the Bnei Yeshua, but with a twist to it. This is what I'll watch. The Bnei Yeshua has two kashas. You have a kasha and a Chazon Ish?
Yes.
Yeah, what's your kasha?
When you say usage, that's the musag that you say that's
yes.
called the thing that you can.
Yes.
It's not because it's on a mamela. Mamela is.
Who says it's a mamela?
Because he didn't do anything. The one who had the money did something.
Right.
Not him. So for him to call it his thing.
Why not? He requested. He requested.
He requested, but so what? That's only a theoretical thing. The guy.
When that guy, somebody does something for you, he asks him to do it. There's usage. What do you want?
What usage is it? He didn't use the money. The other guy.
He used the money in such a way.
He didn't use the money at all.
Why not? He did.
He requested something be done.
And the money was, and it costs money. You request. You have to destroy the money. You have to give it away, put it in risk. It's not stop for. So that's request means a usage. That's his usage because that's where he requested from. You can use the money to eat falafel. You can use the money to throw it to the garbage. Use the money to give it to a poor guy at charity. That's a usage. I call my bank, do me a favor, give this guy a donation, a check. He's using the money, give it to him. He does it for him.
It's the bank that's using, not him.
That is upon his request. He did it. That's his usage.
Not using the
When
bank.
his will was done, that's his usage. Yes.
You see the Torah.
I can't hear the Menashe. I can't hear. Yes.
the person and not the money.
I agree.
That's what he's saying.
But when he's using the person to use the money in such a way, that's his usage because it was his request. No, it's not his goyim. That's his decision to use the money in such a way. To use the money in such a way.
Why is that called usage? How do you explain that's usage? How do you define the concept of usage? What's the dorm of usage? Explain what the details, what the usage means.
Okay.
Usage is used.
You have a problem.
You gotta explain that.
I don't have to explain
No,
it
he has
because everybody understands without it explaining. But if I want, I'll explain.
He's saying that's a concept.
If I want, I'll explain to you. And I don't want. Okay. It's not because I don't want to spend the time. We only have half an hour. And there's a lot more to say. I will explain it if I have time. There's actually leave it. So the Chazon Ish has two kashas. Chazon Ish has two kashas. And not that I didn't hear you word.
Okay.
He really defined what you meant. I heard well by him when he said I have what you point to the concept. But I don't want to spend time to explain it. To me, it's simple, but I will, afterwards, if I have time, I'll explain.
Would you say?
Yes, short. Yes.
Would you say the lender is a shaliach?
Who?
Shaliach?
Yes.
You could say that.
Yes. Yes. He says the Rashbam that says that the lender is a shaliach. He learns means that's usage. He says brings the Rashbam. Actually, you have to learn it. I hope everybody learned the Chazon Ish. I just don't have time to read all the side. Too long. His two questions is like this. Number one is Kashis and our Gemara. Our Gemara says that the same concept of a guarantor that works for marriage, also the concept of law of guarantor can work for selling land. If somebody, that's our Gemara. The Gemara says, by our page, of course I didn't learn a little bit more, it's a little bit more, the Gemara says like this. If the buyer tells the seller, the seller tells the buyer, give money away, 100 Jews, and I will sell you my land. It works on the law of guarantee, and you can sell the land. If also, what's the Kiddush? Because I would say only by Kiddushin, the woman agrees with koldahu, and Rashi says, with toiva sano kolshu, a benefit of pleasure koldahu. What does the word koldahu mean? What does the word koldahu? Small amount. All it is, whatever it is there. Anything. But by mecher, by selling, you need real. But by Kiddushin, she doesn't want you stuck, she wants you married. You hear this, Reb David Levi. A woman wants to get married, she doesn't want to be stuck. She's willing with anything. Koldahu. You hear, you have that advantage. I spoke to him about marriage today. She's stuck. A woman that she with anything, she doesn't want to be stuck, she wants to marry with anything. Probably have to get married to her, she shows you who's the boss. But before, she said with anything, okay, just take me. I want with koldahu. Okay. That's the concept of women. Shem created in such a way. So by Kiddushin it works, by Din Orev, because she married with koldahu. But by Mecher you need real thing. Kamash where it works. Comes the Chazon Ish, he says on himself, what do you mean? Here I have the shimush of the Mammon Atzmoy, Gufa Mammon Atzmoy, Kshove Kol HaMammon. Value of the entire money is why it's called the. If the Gemara defined that Orev, there's a habit to say Orev only works by Kiddushin, not by selling, because Kiddushin she'll be willing to marry by koldahu, but not by Mech, Kamash will know, which means the Gemara understands that Orev is koldahu. It's not. Why is koldahu? According to the definition of the Chazon Ish himself, he says that the Orev receives the usage of the money itself, value of the whole money, until it got destroyed, it was given away as a gift, the whole value of the full money sheet, the usage of the whole money. And it's Shove Kol HaKesef, Gufa Kesef. So why is koldahu? So he answers like this. This is those that have the old pages on the second page. I'm reading inside. 2, 4, 6, 7 lines. In the new pages, it's in the second paragraph, 7 lines down to. The third paragraph below, third paragraph on the right side, 7 lines down. Go up from up to down, from the beginning of the paragraph, 7 lines down. And you know what? 4 lines from the 4 lines. It's easier. 4 lines. Aval but. Here's needed. Last winter he teach us. The Kiddushin and Kinyan, her mind is in the entire value of the 100 Jews. Like I wrote before. With this we said, the Yoiser Rosh is more proper that will help in Kiddushin. Even though the Eila Be'emes Anosh of a money. Even though truly she doesn't have pleasure of a full value, Mikol Mokem, however, Chashiv Kekibla money is considered she received the full value of money. 100 Zuz came in the Ifsidol, she made him a loss of a money Bishvil Anosa for her pleasure. So he now is retracting a little bit. He's saying, the value, hear this, Binyamin, for you? He's saying, why the Gemara says there's a having only Kiddushin and not Mecher? Because really, she didn't get full value of the money. It's only, I consider that she got full value of the money. Why? Because since to get her pleasure, her request, to perpetuate her request, to fulfill her request, cost me 100 Zuz, I consider it, when I lose 100 Zuz, to fulfill your request of your pleasure, it's considered you got a full value of 100 Zuz. So he's basically retracting, it's not really full value, but since it was a loss to get your pleasure, it was a loss of a full, I consider it as like. So does a Havamina that only works, that consideration is only by Kiddushin, not by Mech, Kamashon, yes. What the Kamashon is not clear. The why works by Mecher. Mecher, you want a full value. It works. It is a full value. Yes, Absalom.
Because you look at me, I gave you 100.
Right.
So I see even I lost it. Mitzad the noise said he gave 100.
Mitzad the Mekabel, he said he didn't get 100.
But still,
his will was done by you losing 100. So it's considered I got 100. Yes, what do you want to say to me, son?
He didn't get, it was not a loss. He offered to marry, he agreed to marry with a woman.
Right.
So it's not a loss.
No, it means a loss means if I'm not going to marry, you lost some money. I have to repay it. That's right. So I have to receive something. So I received what? The usage of the entire money. Because you lost and you did my will. In order to do my will, you lost 100 Zuz. It's considered I got the pleasure of 100 Zuz of the money itself. This is what he says himself. It's a hard svara. It's a very hard svara what the Chazon says, and I agree to Rav Fisher, although I argue with him. But I agree to what he said in one sense. That if you're going to go to the street and you're going to appraise ownership and values of usage is not the same. We mean to say, if you give me an object and I own it, then I decide what I want to do with it after I own it as a result of my ownership. The value is not the actual usage what I used it. The value is the ownership, that potential to do what I want. But if I only can get what I want, it's not the same value of ownership. This is what I want to argue with Chazon. It's not like he said Mimela, but different. And that's in one sense. Again, when you give me the object and I own it, and I decide to use it one way, only one way, is the value is not because I wanted to use it one way and the ownership for one way usage is worth X, the value of the 100 Zuz. No, 100 Zuz is worth in the world 100 Zuz because I can use it whatever I want for 50 types of usage. Whatever I decide is my decision. But the value is not being cut from what I've chosen. It's what I own and have potential to choose. But when I never owned the object, I just chosen one usage, and I never owned it, it went directly to the guy, you can't say the same value. This is what I want to think. The Chazon Ish I think is off in that sense. I mean, you can't say the words. I mean, I want to argue that sense. And therefore, we want to reposition the Pnei Yeshua. But before I say the reposition of Pnei Yeshua, I want to go to the second question, see how he answers it, and then say my position. Yes, what do you want to do?
Why didn't you say that because it depends, dependent on what the guy does, if he doesn't have to give it or not, because if he's sorry.
Right.
That since he's tame on the point,
Right.
he doesn't have to give it.
Doesn't have to give it, but when he gives it, and I was pre-obligating myself, so then what? So then, this is where I want to argue with the Chazon Ish. The Chazon Ish says, when I pre-request what you use it, so I got usage of the full money, of the full value of the money itself. I'm saying, no, not true. You maybe got only one pruta. 100 Jews is 50,000 shekels. Now you use it the way I wanted, I didn't get pleasure of the money itself full value. Way less. Why? No, not because scam. Because I don't own it. If I owned it, this is the key piece here. If I own it, and I decide one way to use it, the value of ownership is not being cut from what I use it in reality. The value of ownership, if I own 50,000 shekels, 100 money, is because I do what I want. I own it. I can do what I want with it. The fact that I want to throw it into the toilet, the value of the 50,000 shekels is not being cut that I threw it in the toilet. That's what I used it. The value is from ownership. I can do what I want with it. 1,000 types of usage. Wait a second. Listen carefully. But when I only have usage, pay or shoy, like you said, not kinyan aguf. There's no kinyan. It's only usage. I never owned it because it never came to me, like the Chazon Ish wants to say. It's usage. I'm not saying it's an email. I say it's a gufa momenas, so I agree this is definition, like Rabbi here. But that I agree to the Chazon Ish. But I say it's way less than the full value of Shove Kol HaKesef. It's definitely not Shove Kol HaKesef because I never owned it. It's only used my will. Using my will, usage, crazy or not crazy, is definitely not the same value of ownership. It's way less. It's not close by, ki'ilu. It's way less. It could be even puto, 2 putos. It's not puto of ne'emonus. It could be a little bit more than believing me to do use my risk of money. It's a little bit more, but it's not the full value of a 50,000 shekels or whatever it is. Because I never owned it. So this is one point I want to mention. The second, I want to say the second point.
That's what I meant.
Oh, that's what you meant, so I'm happy. Baruch Hashem, so I'm with you. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Shekivan. Good. That's what you meant to do. Yes, yes, let me say.
Why are we looking at the person? Look at the money. If we look only at the money, it's like the Chazon Ish. The money is valued by its usage, whatever it is.
That's what the Chazon Ish says. I'm saying no. Money's not value of what you use it. Money is valued by ownership, but you could do what you want with it. What you choose is not the cut of usage. That's what the Didi Shoveli is worth for me. That's the Didi, what you want. It's nothing to do with the value of money. Value of money is what you own.
But that's not the money. That's you. You have the money. It's not the money. The money itself is only what it's used for.
But if you only have usage without ownership, it's way less. Pay voice is way less than Kinyan Aguf. No comparison.
You have to say,
what? Simple.
You have to say, maybe if you
Therefore, I want to say, I want to punch my line. You must say like all the Rishonim of Shlichus. I'll explain it, guys. That's the point. You must come to. That's why we stop. I'll stop in a second. What?
The value doesn't change the rules of money. Money's in the bank and the money's in the person. It doesn't change the value. You can't say that the value.
But owning money, let me soil. When I owe money in a bank and I put it in Fort Knox, and I don't use it, I just leave it there. I have a value of a full money what I own. Nothing to usage. Ownership is the value. You can use it. That's an exam. That's an email. That's a cut off of it. I won't say the word email. That's a cut off. It's an exam. In English, I don't know.
Even if it's hefker, it's still worth. It doesn't matter who owns it.
No, but it's worth for me or for people when they own it.
It matters for people, not for you. It's less. For you, it's less.
That's the point. You agree to me? For me, it's less. That's all I need to say. So you can't say I got shove kol hakesef gufa kesef. I can shove gufa kesef and not kol hakesef way less. You can't say that. It's crazy. It's off the mind. This is what I argue. And if you held that to thought, I hold it a strong story. This I understand you well. It's definitely right. The Choy I think is definitely right.
It doesn't matter what's for you. It matters what you got. You got something that's worth the money.
But you can't say I got the full value when I don't own it. When I own it, then I decide to use it one way, my way. There's nothing to do with it. The value is not because I used it. The value is because I own it.
It's still worth the money. The value of owning money is more than the value of
More than the value. So the value of owning money, that's the value of the money.
the money, though. It's still worth the money. Even if you don't own it, it's still worth the money. A money is worth the money whether
Yeah, I know, but no, it's not true. Not true. I want to argue with that. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. I want to argue with you.
If you own it,
If the money is efker, it's worth only when people pick it up.
okay, but it's when people pick it up, it's worth
That's
the
all.
money. It's
The
like-
Gemara says, Sefer Torah toli b'mazel, afilu b'eichol. Kibin eichol, Sefer Torah will be used as no value. The usage. When people own and use it, that's value. If you have a yeshiva, besmedish buildings, and the students are learning there, it could be a building, nothing.
it's still worth it.
But the ownership, that's what gives a value to people. Relevant. Yes.
The ownership is
Shluchot Yemot, Shluchot Document. Even say
Yes, so what before? You understood me?
I'm arguing
Yes.
that
What do you want to argue?
ownership gives it more value than it does. The money is worth the money.
No, it's not more. The more gives it the value, market value.
The market value
It's come because of ownership.
Market value is still false.
No, it's because of ownership.
If you own it, then it's worth to you more than what it is.
Not worth it more than it is. What's worth it more than you, what it is, this is what it is. The market value is what people own it. That's how the value works.
When you have a cup that you like,
Yes.
it's worth to you more than the cup. But if you
Yes.
sell it market value, it's worth however much the cup.
Right. So when you own 50,000 shekels, worth for you more than 50,000 shekels? No. This is 50,000 shekels, you can do what you want. No, so that would be 100,000 there. 50,000 shekels, that's a value. No. Okay. I don't think you're right.
It's emotional.
Okay.
It's not
Yes, Rebbe Menashe.
Different things in
Shh. Yes, Rebbe Menashe.
Also, Shita Shlichus, how come the Chazon Ish didn't?
What?
If it's Shita Shlichus,
Yes.
it's such an answer, how come
Yes.
the Chazon Ish doesn't bring it in?
I will answer the second one. Listen carefully and say, I will give it. Just give me I only have now 15.
Make another hour, dude. Make another
Here now, if people want to give it, look, a lot of guys are tired, and I'm looking on their faces, I'm ready, holding them hostage, they're stuck with the machine once a day. Okay. I want to balance it between the people. People are excited, yes, but some people sleeping on me, so I don't want to give them too much top. Top of the kind. We only have limited, we have to cut. That's it. We only have 13 minutes or 23 minutes. Okay. Second kasha of the Chazon Ish himself is very simple. He says, the Gemara Basra says that Olive obligates himself with the pleasure of that the lender believed in, that he risked the money to believe him, relied on him, ne'emanus, meheimanle. He says, not true. Olive should acquire himself because when he listened to rescue the money, that's the usage of the Olive. The use of the Olive, he wants to use the money to risk it, to give to this guy. Why did Gemara him say that? That's a kasha, right? So he answers, and Rabbi Bochel also asks, our Gemara says Olive doesn't get any pleasure. He gets a full pleasure. Full pleasure of usage, of risking the money. So he answers like this. I agree to his answer, a reference our Gemara, but I say that's a listen what happens here. Comes the Chazon Ish and he says, this is in the last paragraph, in the same towards the end, in the second page, the last two lines on the right side of the last paragraph, in the right paragraph. There's two, and then page Vav, or in this page, in the right column, and down below column, the right column, the last two lines. When the Gemara says one who holds asmachta doesn't work, how Olive obligates himself? He has a kasha on himself. Afal Gav, even though that's a question. The Olive Yeshlam, no, what do you mean? Why only a pleasure of belief? The Olive has a full pleasure of usage. That the guy listens and he risks the money for him. He never thought that he has to pay. He thinks he never comes to obligation from his own pocket. And he thought his only pleasure is only that he believed him. And that pleasure, according to the Havamina, that pleasure is not enough to obligate him with the full money value. We don't have here pleasure shalmone of 100 zuz his friend will not lose in it. This is where the Chazon Ish himself retracts. Listen carefully what happened here. This is a very big move. Comes the Chazon Ish and he says, what I said of usage, it's only when the guarantor tells the other person, give the money away as a present. Throw the money into the sea. But when he tells him, lend the money, the money will come back to him. So there's no loss of money. It's only if the guy doesn't pay, then I'm in. But there's no really loss. The money will come back. So when there's no loss, in my mind, I'm not thinking I didn't receive anything. Maybe he believed me, that's the only thing. Believing me is a little bit, it's not enough to obligate me. But to say he did a usage for me, that's my usage, that he put his money at risk, for me is not a risk. I think he'll pay it back. So I never thought I got money, so therefore it's not enough to obligate me. This is Chazon Ish. Okay, I agree to this law. And I say like this. That's why he said all the Rishon. When I say to him, I want to marry you if you give the money as a loan, so there's no usage. Because there's no, in my mind, I only got maybe belief, but nothing more of that, of usage, that he puts money at risk. It's not, in my mind, not a risk. But if I said, the woman tells the husband, give this money away as a present, it's definitely a loss. If I'm not marrying you, the money is lost. I have to pay it back. Right? So there, it's a real loss. It's like throw the money to the sea. When there's a real loss, he did my usage. This is my usage that I want. That usage, it's more than a value of believing me, which is only one put. There can be few putos that he did my request, that's my usage, but it's not a full value of all the 100 zuz. You have to come on to shlichus. Yeah, this is going to be your shloime. You have to come on to shlichus. What does shlichus mean? This is why I want to say, how do you solve the sugya? Listen carefully, I'll finalize with this. This is a Kiddush that I believe is true. 30 years ago, 10 years ago, I think it relates to it now. Really, an orev, a guarantor, when there's no condition, he obligates himself with words. With words. When there is a condition, he needs pleasure. He needs pleasure. And our sugya, according to most of the Rishonim, besides the Ritva, is talking about a case the woman tells the husband, give away a gift. 100 zuz, a big amount of money to this ploni. I don't marry with you. So here, it's like throwing the money to the sea. So it's not a question of believing her. I believe you that my money is not risked. And I believe you if there is a risk, you're going to cover the risk. There's nothing there. There's no risk. It's giving money. It's usage of me listening to me. It's true. But that usage is definitely not the value of the full money, so it's a smach to the rest of the money. The same way of an external pleasure, you believe me, it's not way more than the money itself, so it's an asmachta. You need shlichus. That's the way the Rashbam solves it. We did it last week. We need shlichus to say that the lender, the husband, is giving as a messenger to the guarantor, to the woman. Says the woman just receives it and she give it back to the husband, the malve, as the Rashbam says, and he gives it away he throws it to the sea. He gives it away to a receiver. But it's not the receiver acquires the money to the guarantor back and forth, a ping pong. Is the giver, the husband, the lender, he's the one that like Rashbam says in Mobasa, he's the messenger. And he acquires it to the guarantor. Why do you have to come on to shlichus, the Ritva says there? Because for one pleasure, in the midst of this storm of guaranteeing somebody's money, a big amount of money, a pleasure of listening to him is one puto. And I'm adding more. Even the pleasure of doing the guarantor's request, that's usage, is also way less than the value of the full money. If we hold it, our small is true. So we have to come onto the same position again. How a person guarantees himself with words? Shlichus. It's like shlichus. He didn't really make shlichus. The Torah makes, like the Rashba says, Hadis Torah made it as if there's shlichus, as if he's a messenger of the guarantor. The guarantor received it, acquired it, it becomes Orev Kablan, and he gave it back. He's not a real Orev Kablan because he didn't get it in his hands. He didn't say, I want to be Orev Kablan. He says, I'm normal Orev. But we put into his words, we didn't Orev, which Orev? Orev that he didn't receive in his hands. Oh, he didn't say I'm an Orev Kablan. We talk about the lowest Orev. It just says, you give it, I'm guaranteeing. So to say this whole process as if he got into his hand and back, you have to come on, and it's a smachta. So how do we know a smachta is by a loan? There, Gemor Kufayin Gimel is a loan. I agree to the Chazon Ish. By a loan, the only pleasure you have that he rely on me. You can't say pleasure of usage, putting the money in risk. The money is coming back. In my mind, there's no risk. So there's no pleasure there. The only pleasure you left is believing me. That's the only pleasure. Once you believe me, how I'm coining myself, how do you say knas? I'm penalty myself on the whole amount through shlichus. By us, it's small. By us, 10 money pointing as a gift to throw it to the sea, I get more pleasure. I get pleasure of the usage, like the Chazon Ish. But it's way less than the full value. So how can I'm acquainting myself with the full value? Through shlichus. So it always comes down to the concept of orev, that a normal orev, as Akosov said, because of the pleasure that I remove asmachta, or because of pleasure of usage by us, by matona, or zona, which more, that removes asmachta. You don't need to remove asmachta by us, because it's a cut piece. But that pleasure exists. Midin orev, I say, I'm guaranteed the entire value of the money through shlichus. So I have to come on to orev. And that's what it means with words. Orev obligates with words. Words with through shlichus. So let's go back here. So what we made here. We say like this. The Bnei Yoshua, I want to summarize, then you can answer the question. We have three categories, three ways what's going on. We have one way of the Bnei Yoshua that says a guarantor obligation with money. Sorry. A guarantor obligates also with words when there's no asmachta. When there's asmachta, you need the pleasure to remove the asmachta, but the guaranteeing itself is with words. This is the Bnei Yoshua. The Chazon Ish says no. When there is asmachta, you need pleasure to remove asmachta, but the guarantee itself is with the full money usage that was done upon his words. Throwing to the sea, giving it away, lending it, putting it at risk. That's my usage, what I want. So, and that use is considered, I used in the goof of the money, the body of the money, full value of the money. That's the Chazon Ish. And he has a problem, so it's called, it's like, almost, but Lamais is there. Why the Gemara says only a pleasure of believing? Because by a smachta, I don't think that it really is a risk, there's really usage here. There's only pleasure of listening. That's the Chazon Ish. We're saying a third possibility. No. Possibility is like the Bnei Yoshua, the guarantor obligation with words. But it's not just Gzeras HaKosher with words. We do it as if that a normal Orev with words, it becomes like Orev Kabbalah, through Shlichus. The Torah made as if there is a Shlichus here, because he got the money and gave it back. Even though he didn't say it, even when he got it into his hands. It's like the Torah Mechadesh, that as if there is a Shlichus. Who's the Shliach? The lender. The husband is the Shliach, like the Rashbam says. The Yerushalmi says that also you need a receiver to have full pleasure. Okay, that's a prat in that concept. But all those pleasures is way less than the full value of the money. So a pleasure of listening to me, which is external, or of relying on me, or pleasure of getting rid of the money, giving it as a present or to the sea, it's way less than the money. So that's only can remove a smachta in a place when there's no smachta, there's a cut. I don't even need to remove a smachta because there's a cut deal, but it exists there. That is enough to produce that I made the lender as a shliach, that is my shliach, that is I got it and I gave it back to him. And therefore, that's why in that way, this is the process that I really, as if I received the entire amount of money and I'm obligating myself to be married or to be a guarantor on the entire money. So how this woman, bottom line, is she's married? In what way she's married? She has a mind to be married with a full 100 zuz. She only got two pleasures. Pleasure of relying on her if it's a loan, or pleasure of usage of the money, which is way less of the full value of the money. So how? But she wants to get married with full money. She didn't get it. She didn't get it. She did get it. Midin Orev, the Torah says he becomes like a shliach, and as if he got the whole money, right? So she got the full money. That's how she's married with full money. This is the plan. That's the portion. That's what we say. Yes. Now I want to say a word of Musa. Yes, what is it? Yes, and all the Rishonim, and he saw all the kashas. Look at my book, I answer all the kashas, all the students. But it's not, and not here, it's too much to the details, we won't get what I'm saying. I just want to
Even the Rambam, you know.
Even the Rambam, well, maybe next week if I have time, if we have a Shiur, next week we'll have a Shiur, I'll explain the Rambam, maybe. I want to say a word of Musa.